this is Rowan Howard. I'm talking to Jack Martins, and we are sitting in my house at 51 2nd Street, and it is November 8th, 1983. Jack, you have a store down here on the point, one of the last remaining one, I guess, and you've been here for a long time, and I wondered if you would tell us something about what happened to this neighborhood when the fleet pulled out, and when was it?
Well, first of all, our family started the store in 1936 on the corner of Walnut and Third, Martin's Liquor Store. When the fleet pulled out, we thought it was devastating. We really did. And the Restoration Foundation came in. They did a tremendous amount of work, refurbishing the old houses and so forth. And it just was a turnabout.
But there must have been a gap between the time the fleet pulled out and the restoration.
It was a very short gap. Due to the ability of the foundation to pick up the slack. You know, they bought the houses at reasonable prices and so forth. We were here during the great days of the Navy fleet. We probably had about 60% of our business was enlisted people. And like I said, although we thought it was the end of everything. And it came back, and we have now.
What happened to the houses that the enlisted people had been living in? Were they sort of run down?
Well, the house that we're sitting in right now is a 4-apartment house, very, very run down. Mm-hmm. Across the street on the northeast corner, that was the same situation there. There's a little store there. There's a liquor store and grocery store prior to the pullout, and of course that folded and that turned into a 4-apartment house. All the little stores in the point area, as we well know, they all folded. On this block alone, we probably had maybe 12 Navy families, just this one block from 2nd Street to 3rd Street. It was totally unbelievable. The house next to you, when Mrs. McQueen was living, there was, a little bit further east, there were 4 families in that. At one time, in our store, on the above apartments, there was 3 families, all Navy. And it, really went on. And it's, south of us, there were 4 families, Navy families in that. And it was just, this is what happened.
How about the landlords? How about the people that were renting to the Navy?
Most of the people that own the houses in this area, prior to that point, were Jewish people. The Katzmans, the Gilsons that owned our place, Katzmans that owned this house here, and the one across the street. And they were the finest, really the finest landlords. I mean, the rents were very, very low. And I guess we all know what happened to the inflation and so forth. Rents are spiral. We're talking like the $50 rents. Pay by the week, and all that type of thing. It was really, it is a really unique area. But I think really, more importantly, we had a very, I think, I really know how to phrase it, but diversified type of people. We had officers, we had enlisted people, we had blacks. Are you running?
Yeah. Just a second. So we're talking about the people, kind of people that were here.
Oh yeah, I think we're really getting back to that. It's kind of funny because we had when they were trying to build the highway through, when they took off the Walnut Street Bridge. We would have meetings at St. John's Guildhall, and people would show up there. A lot of black people, a lot of white people, and really spilling out their feelings. And they were, intermingled in this area. Again, using the word unique, it really is a unique area, and I think it's still the same. And it's fun. We love it.
Yes, you must have somewhat different type of people here now with the high cost of housing. you not?
Well, certainly.
Yeah.
Retirees,
Yeah,
the
like
Howards.
us. Yes.
I would say, yeah, it's definitely changed a lot. I mean, here again, the people starting out certainly can't afford to live in this area the rest of the way they are. And
were there any local people who saw that this area was going to be redeveloped and plunged in with a lot of money, or bought up a lot of houses at a low price, other than Doris Duke?
well, certainly. And it was
Individual.
very, very frustrating to me because I had just purchased a house in the year of the pullout, the fleet pullout. And this gentleman came in the store. He's a local contractor, and he said, "I wish I had $1 million." And at that point, I felt like smacking him in the head because, truthfully, as he said, I'd buy up a lot of property on the point. And then within 6 months, it all came about. And we started to see the tearing down of the old houses and the restoration that went on with the foundation. And this was done, first started with the Ford Group, and then it went on to the Kent Group and so forth, and it just became a great thing, as we all know.
What was the Ford Group?
That was the first, I think, the first group that started to restore the houses under the Duke Foundation.
Oh. And Operation Clabber did maybe 1 or 2 or 3, but
It was sparse. As far as I know, no concentrated effort like it was, with the Ford Group. With the Duke Group.
Jack, were there local people that objected to the big change in the neighborhood, or were they pleased generally to see it?
I think probably the Point Association kept that together.
Mm-hmm.
There were those that opposed always to change, as you well know.
Mm-hmm.
By and large, they agreed with it. You just couldn't dispute the great job that they had done. So I think, as you probably know better than anybody, they accepted the change real well.
Do you feel that the high rents in this area are still affecting the locals, and are they being pushed out of this area?
I don't think they're being pushed out. I just think it's a change in our lifestyle, really.
People are sharing apartments now.
Guys and girls. The $400 a month rentals are being shared equally. It's just a different lifestyle. And I don't think the old timers really, they're going out, they are selling out. I don't think they're forced out. I think it's just a way of life, and they're going to the new developments. I don't want to say the old home type thing.
No, but they're low-income
areas.
housing where they can't afford.
And we see it happening all the time, especially like with the Rolling Green project, the Bayside Village. A lot of our customers have gone out there. We do deliver, and they're living out there. But I don't think they're being forced out. I think it's just their economic means. I mean, a lot of people are just living on Social Security, and they just can't afford the taxes and so forth.
It's interesting to me in the Point Association, so many of the old members who have moved out of the Point still retain their membership in the Green Knight, and they're tremendously interested in what is going on here on the Point still.
And that's all we hear.
And they still come back to you.
That's right. They're loyal. They love the Point. Because there's no place like the Point anyway. We know that. And they voice that all the time. Always that, what's going on. They really, really mean it. And, like the old, the deaths. They go to every wake.
Yeah.
The whole Point is go to every wake. And no, they take a true interest in the Point. They really. It's a great place. But there has been a significant change, as we all know.
How did they feel about it when the bridge was built and split that end of the Point, and then the America's Cup was built and sort of cut us off from the eastern part? Did they resent that too, or was that a...
Well, I don't think the real natives resented so much the bridge. They did definitely the road. We had many discussions on that, because what they intended to do in the beginning, when they built the road, was another extension, which would have cut off like the east side of the Point. That would be west of the railroad track. And in those days, that was a very, very integrated area, believe me. Blacks lived with whites and whites lived with blacks. By that I mean, they ate in each other's house. This is a real true neighborhood over here, believe me. And from all the way down, that's why to me it's so dear, because people still feel the same way. They just that way. And that was a little traumatic, to be honest with you. As far as the bridge goes, the only thing I think probably bothered people in those days really were, well, a little bit with the fleet and so forth, with the ships, because they weren't, we didn't know how the Navy felt about having a bridge built there. And probably only something insignificant such as the view. And other than that, really, I certainly didn't hear anything negative to the bridge. But we must mention, though, we missed the ferry.
Oh, yeah, everybody.
Waiting for it and then missing it.
Yeah, so getting over on the other side of Jamestown and not having room on the Swanderstown ferry. How about some of the characters on the point?
Well, probably we'll start with probably the newest member of the point, Jack Howard. He's definitely a character. He's down the story morning, getting involved with local conversation with a Jim Steele, who was the railroad pioneer. Jack Morgan, who was an old civil service worker, who worked there for years and years, an engineer. Oh God, we got many, many characters. We get the Harold Vaz, which is the Vaz family that has been on the point for probably 200 years.
Seems to me your store is sort of like the old-fashioned neighborhood store where everybody gathers around the Cracker Barrel and you catch all the news that's going on. And
we love it that way, and that's the way it's going to remain as long as I'm there. No, it is an old-fashioned store, and they do congregate in the morning. I'll just mention a couple of people because they are like synonymous with the point. Many, many others, as you well know, come in. But it is an old-fashioned store. But we try to keep up a little bit with the times. I don't know. Just
you do well. How about what you do for the children on the point every year, or do for the point, your cleanup campaign?
Well, the kids, I guess we all know how we feel about kids. Kids are great, and they're only great if we make them that way. And we just try like heck, honestly, to get the kids involved with the cleanup campaign. But it's not a one-man effort. It's a group. Same way with the cookout. We got to cook up with the kids. And this is done, here again, I mentioned before, the importance of the Point Association. I mean, it's a great outfit, and I'm saying that honestly. It really is. Without them, we would be nowhere. It just keeps everybody together. They used to have a little bit stronger youth group in the Point Association through St. John's Church and the good will of the fathers there, but as of late, nobody's really taken up the bull. Here again, we're all getting a little bit older and probably not devoting as much time to the youth as we should be.
Well, are there as many children as there used to be?
Probably not. Probably not.
And the school is closed.
That's right.
Been closed for how long? How long ago did they close?
The school's closed now for about, I'd say, 8 years. And because that's a plus too. What Bill Boggs has done with the development of the congregation there, that's a plus. That area down through there is really good. And because we did have our share of crime here on the point. Let's be honest. Going back 10 or 15 years, it was very, very difficult, running a business here, to stay in with it. But we've seemed to get through to the kids a little bit. And here again, I think maybe it rubbed off, and we went into this thing with cookouts and cleanups and so on, to get the kids a little bit interested. And the police department is also, it's very instrumental with that, especially a couple of the youth officers. They helped a lot, and that's it. But the people here have been great. I mean, like you people. I mean, always contributed to the welfare of the kids. When you say about the amount of children that, how many kids are still on the point, and there aren't as many, but I think probably what happened in the late 60s, people get nervous about having like fun dances and things like that, the old Halloween thing. But now I think it's changed around just a little bit. I think we could probably do it again. But they get nervous during that time because I think it was, Vietnam and after, and people were on drugs and so forth. I just think they got a little reluctant to do it. But now I think I hope we're turning the thing around a little bit. Hopefully, you can.
When did you start working for your father?
Oh, I'd say probably when I was about 8 years old. I'd come to the store 8 o'clock in the morning, and I worked till 6 o'clock at night. My primary job was never to set foot outside the door, except for a small delivery to the local people. My job was, here again, primarily to pump kerosene, to put up potatoes and onions, and to make sure the place was spick and span, because I had an uncle who was a real bug on that. But we were a busy store. In those days we had, let's see, right after the war we probably had about 7 employees inside the store, and a couple of deliveries, a couple of fellows delivering.
Was it a bigger store than?
No, it was exactly the same, but it was the thing where the main liquor store is now. That was a grocery store, and in those days, of course, we never, nobody waited on themselves. We had to get everything for them, and deliveries were always funny because it tended to be that we'd always forget one item in every delivery, But we just the nature of our operation was that if you call from Van Zandt Avenue and we forgot a package of cigarettes, we'd run it right up there. But we had a couple of trucks on the road in those days, and like I said, we had 7 or 8 people working. Like I can recall right after the war, we were on in those days the ration stamps, and we were allotted like 1 turkey for Thanksgiving. 1 turkey. That was all you get. Because the butter and the sugar, we know that was all ration. So it was just all stamps. Gasoline, you could only get so much. We had a little bit more because we had a couple of trucks going. It was a tough operation. My father worked many hours. But we used to, they made their own ice cream there. It was a 6-day operation because of the liquor. We weren't allowed to open on Sundays. But he was always there doing the books and stuff. That's why that. That's one of those things. But you probably recall as a young girl, the same thing in other little stores around the.
Well, sure, yeah. Well, when did it turn around?
Well, that changed in probably, I believe in 1934, right after Prohibition, right? It was, when there was a deal, it was 34.
32.
Was it 32?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, right at that point, then we picked up the liquor license in 36. Prior to my father buying the store, it was, they only had 1 shelf of liquor, that's all, and it was all, rum. We just couldn't buy anything in those days. Everybody, got rum. If you bought 100 cases of rum, they'd give you something, so you can sell. But that's how it was. And then, after repeal, everything changed, and then we became a little bit bigger in the liquor business and went into the wines and so forth, because it was all sweet wines in those days. The table wines that we know now are, scarce, and it just kept changing. And there was no such thing as vodka in those days. That came later on.
Well, when it changed from having so many employees down to you and a helper and so forth, did that happen again when the fleet pulled out, or
no,
was it
much sooner. I think when the chain stores came in, that was the end of the large amount of help, because it was people doing in those days they did the grocery shopping every day. People were in the store 6 days a week, and then when they went to the supermarket and so forth, they did their weekly shopping, and then automobiles came in more and more after the war and so forth. People were doing it that way, and that's really basically.
Is that when the other stores sort of folded too?
That's just a matter of the dynamo. Really, we did dynamo ranges, and just one kept going. And the old timers, the young people didn't want it. The old timers were dying off, and we sold Start the Street change hands, 4 or 5 times within 7 or 8 years. We were open 15 hours a day, and as you well know, I'm there many times 15 hours a day. So you just got.
There was another big thing that happened in the hurricane of '54. Were you here then?
I was in the store in the Hurricane '54. That was a kind of a strange storm, as you well know. You know, it turned about we were supposed to, the indication was that it was going to bypass us and so forth, but it came around and hit us. I was there. We were without power for 3 days. And that's another thing that brings like the neighborhood together. You know, we were just passing food out, so it wouldn't go bad. Something that you don't see anymore. I see people throw things, you know, in the trash rather than give it to their neighbors. But we had that thing going. We really did. We passed things around and so forth, just so it wouldn't go bad. But we did lose power for 3 days. That was good. We're in a situation here, location here, which is not the tide just doesn't get that high. It came as far as in the 38. It came as far as Willow Spring. And then in 54, we didn't have a tidal wave, so it wasn't really that high because it did get the lower end naturally. We were very, very lucky. I think it's kind of pulled together. Here again, the point. They just do something here that I don't think it's unprecedented, really. I love it here. It's just, I get so big amount of time to put here, but I really mean it. Not just to make a living. I just love the people here. I really, truly do. It's just a fun place.
How about the late 60s, early 70s? What was it like here?
Well, in those days, you know, we had the school, and we had a tremendous concentration of teenagers. And it was just a tough area, tough time for us, really, truly. We tried a couple of things. The principal of the school at the time was Bob Cologne, out of Calendar School, and he tried to institute a plan where maybe they could open it up nights for like workshops. And we had just an outpouring of people. I mean, it was unbelievable. There's probably like 80 people that went down there one night just to try to get this thing organized. But for some reason, I guess the superintendent at the time didn't think that was proper, and the thing just was dropped. But it was they had a steering committee headed by Bob Cologne, and he had people from really all walks. He tried to include as many people as he possibly could, like Navy people and so forth, that would really be instrumental in setting this program up. And when I say workshops, I'm talking about simple workshops, just to keep the kids off the street, because, like I said, the vandalism in those days was really strong. But then as time went on, we get into the 70s and so forth. Those kids that were then hellraisers moved down and so forth, and grew up. And now they using my store as an example, they come into the store with their own children, and like you say, they have grown up in there.
Who was Bob Cologne?
He was the principal at the Calendar in that period. I don't know those because there's been numerous principals down there. But presently he's principal at Sheffield. I think he's at Sheffield. But he tried hard.
Jack, what do you feel about the current development or proposed development of the Gateway project down here and the Great Big Hotel and the possibility of a fancy marina at Newport Shipyard and this sort of development which seems to be encompassing the point and closing it in?
Well, first of all, I've got to be fair and honest with you. My input on that would be very, very little. The only thing that really disturbs me is the shipyard. I'm very, very concerned about the fishing industry in Newport. That is definitely a vital and significant part of this community. And if we were to lose that, you know, I'm very, very disturbed about that. As far as the Gateway project and the hotels and so forth, I just don't have any input. I really don't. Not enough has been spoken about it, so I like change, but I kind of gradual change is good, and I'm really not sure about that.
I don't know what kind of an effect it will have on the point itself as far as traffic and environs.
the traffic on the point has been brought up on many occasions, even at point association meetings and so forth. Usually, honestly, unwarranted. People that talk about traffic usually are those that aren't here all day. Now, I'm on the corner of Walnut and Third, probably one of the busiest intersections on the point, and it's insignificant, the amount of traffic going on Third Street during a normal day, like for instance, say from 8 in the morning until 6 at night. It's, with the exception of school buses, trucks that deliver to my store, and people going to the Navy base, there's almost nothing. And those are restricted to certain hours. Between the hours of 7 and 8 in the morning, people going to the base, it's relatively high, the amount of traffic going there. But it's not speeding traffic, it's just people going at a normal rate. School buses pick up the children probably 8 o'clock in the morning, and that's maybe 2 or 3 buses going by. In the afternoon, it'll be the same, maybe 3 o'clock, dropping people off. Deliveries on the point probably consist of, on a Tuesday, maybe 8 trucks. Here again, one hour, one the next, and so there's no concentration of trucks here. Now, at night, from my understanding, 2nd Street and Washington Street has a heavy concentration of regular traffic, vehicles, not trucks and buses and so forth. It's the regular passenger car. But there's nothing to substantiate that from the police department, where there's a heavy concentration. The accidents on the point have been probably the lowest in this past year than they have in forever. So I don't know, who brings the argument up and how to substantiate it.
Well, I think it's probably very heavy on Washington Street in the summertime, then, since it's two-way and narrow, people feel that there is a large concentration.
I'm sure there is, but I really think that the concentration of the traffic is, here again, is in our best interest. Most of the traffic probably going to the Sheridan, which is good. We know we need the Sheridan, we need the Marina, we need the Hunter House. I think an honest survey should be done, not somebody that's just impartial or negative as far as traffic in general is concerned. I really think that people should take a real serious look into the matter. Because as far as I'm concerned, we do need those vital things, and the Sheridan, of course, and the Hunter House. They're part of the way now. They really are.
Oh, sure. Yeah.